Chapter 5, Embers and Reflections. For example, if I refer back to the flame analogy Irvin explained thoughtfully, the difference between a child and adult is like comparing a flickering candle to a robust campfire. The materials we feed them to keep them going are different. Leo nodded, contemplating Irvin's analogy. But hold on, those two aren't exactly comparable, he interjected. A candle flame burns briefly. Once the wax melts, it's extinguished. True, Irvin conceded, but it serves as an illustration. Think of our childhood as a brief, hopefully sweet moment, though experiences vary wildly. Once childhood passes, most of our life is spent in adulthood. We transition from the fleeting wax of childhood to the more substantial feel of wood, charcoal, and other materials that sustain a campfire. We continue to feed this fire throughout our lives. Leo leaned in with curiosity. When we first learned to build fires as children, we struggle to create even a small flame, he mused. But as we mature, we learn to kindle larger fires that are sustainable, big enough to roast meat over, rather than merely browning marshmallows. Irvin nodded in agreement. Exactly. However, not everyone nurtures their flames as they grow older. Some individuals maintain their flames at the same small level they had in their teens or early 20s, failing to develop and mature as expected for their age. So they end up with a youthful flame, Leo observed, drawing the connection. Irvin pondered Leo's remark for a moment. Well, yes, in a sense, but more precisely, they never said their childish ways. So while they may have a youthful flame, it doesn't manifest in a meaningful or mature way. Leo nodded in understanding. I see what you mean. It's not just about having a fire, it's about how you tend to it and what it represents in your life. But back to what we were talking about before Irvin redirected the conversation. We can use Dave as an example, he continued, recalling their friend's struggles. There have been times when he wanted to quit smoking. He managed to make it work for 6 months. So the question is, what happened? How come he came back to smoking cigarettes? You know what he said, Leo replied, knowingly, already familiar with Dave's patterns. I don't know. Stuff just happened, you know? Life was getting hard and I took one puff. And one puff led to another. And then, here I am, smoking. Irvin imitated Dave, his tone reflecting resignation. Exactly, Leo agreed solemnly. Improvement is an everlasting battle. Dave was well on his way to breaking a bad habit, but when life got tough and hit him hard, he fell back into something that wasn't good for him. And even now, he's still struggling with it. So, I asked him, when do you plan on stopping again? What did he say? Irvin posed the question. He probably said, maybe in another month or two, Leo predicted, his voice echoing Dave's uncertainty. Exactly, Irvin agreed solemnly. Improvement is an everlasting battle, but it's not just cigarettes. Addiction applies to a lot of things in life, Irvin explained thoughtfully. For instance, negative thinking or being overly critical can become an addictive behavior. Patterns people revert to because they're familiar. How is negative thinking an addiction? Leo questioned, concerning with the idea. Because whether they admit it or not, those who see the world negatively prefer it over optimism and sometimes entrench their personality around it, believing they are right. It's about staying true to their perspective, their reality, as they've been fooled enough, Irvin elaborated. Another example is drinking soda, Irvin continued, looking at his soda bottle. Why drink the regular kind when you can opt for the zero-calorie version? Leo shrugged, understanding Irvin's point. Does it really matter? Both are still bad for you. Yeah, I get that, Irvin acknowledged. But instead of going cold turkey, which most people might never do, you must at least switch to the lesser evil. Most won't because they're accustomed to the taste. True, Leo agreed, nodding. Unless they got something like diabetes and their doctor says they have to give it up, they won't. Leo thought out loud. It's kind of like those people who have a mean resting face. In this case, people always tell you to smile. Yeah, you don't have to smile, Irvin agreed. But if you look unapproachable and aren't talkative, you'll scare people off and end up isolated. Smiling isn't about always being happy, but about opening yourself up to more opportunities and different scenarios, or at least being able to get through whatever is in your way at the moment. A smile can be a tool for false feelings or a representation of your true feelings. Another one is procrastination. It's something that many of us struggle with, especially during school. We put things off until the last minute, and it's always stressful, yet We keep doing it. Some people get around this by tricking themselves into believing something is due much earlier than it is, Irving added. Which is why some people need a set deadline, Leo concluded. Exactly. Without a due date, nothing gets done. Procrastination leads to nothingness if left unchecked, Irving affirmed. As they walked, the trail narrowed and the trees thinned out, hinting that they were nearing the end of the hike. Leo glanced at the sinking sun and remarked, "Looks like we're almost there." "So, here's an example," Irving continued. As they walked, they noticed two kids running by, one chasing the other. "Hey kiddo, stop that," Leo called out. "What? We're just playing. I'm not doing anything," the older kid protested. "Don't lie, I saw what you did." "He was crying," Leo replied sternly. "Fine, I did, but I didn't mean it," the older kid admitted reluctantly. "Just stop it for now," Leo advised firmly. "Okay," the older kid agreed reluctantly. "It's going to happen again eventually," Irving remarked. "That's how it is," Leo added with a sigh. Irving watched as Leo dealt with the kids and spoke with their parents, who seemed grateful. Once Leo was finished, they continued on their way. Irving thought to himself, "Isn't that kind of ironic? It started to rain out of nowhere when I was with Dave last week. It seems to be happening again now, too. What luck, or does it mean something?" As it started to drizzle, Irving asked, "What do you want to do now?" "It's about 3. "How about we go to the museum?" Leo suggested. "Why not the library?" Irving countered. Leo considered it for a moment. "Actually, the museum sounds like a great idea. We can avoid the rain and still do something interesting." "Alright then, let's head there," Irving agreed. They quickened their pace as the drizzle turned into a steady rain. By the time they reached the museum, the rain was coming down harder, and they were glad to be indoors exploring the exhibit. They explored everything that they could find. They marveled at the ancient artifacts lingering in front of breathtaking paintings and engaged in animated discussions about the various events and artistic movements. Through that time seemed to fly as they delved deeper into each display. By the time they finished, the sky outside had darkened even more, and rain was coming down even harder. The museum warm, dry interior felt like a sanctuary compared to the strong weather outside. They stood near the exit, watching the sheets of rain cascade down the glass door. Contemplating their next move, Leo glanced at Irving and chuckled. "Well, it looks like we're in for a wet walk home," Irving sighed. "Well, you mean the car? But yeah, no point in waiting it out any longer, I suppose." They braced themselves and stepped out into the downpour. The rain was relentless, instantly soaking them to the skin. Despite the discomfort, they couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. They walked together for a while, talking and joking. They got into the car and drove. And as they reached the stop point to part ways, Leo turned to Irving and told him thanks for today. It was good to get out and do something different. "We should do this again now." Irving nodded, with water still dripping from his hair and face. "Yeah, it was fun, despite the weather. Take care, Leo. See you next time." With a final wave, they headed in their respective directions. Irving's thoughts wandered back to their conversation throughout the day, the discussion about life habits and personal growth. As he reached his door, he paused for a moment, letting the rain wash over him. Despite being soaked to the bone, he felt a warmth inside. He entered his home, leaving a trail of water, and took a moment to reflect on the day's journey. For Leo, it was equally contemplative. He replayed their conversation in his mind, thinking about the analogies of flame and the struggles with personal habits. The rain was cold, but his spirits felt invigorated by the camaraderie and the shared exploration. By the time he reached his door, he was drenched but content. And like that, the week Saturday ended with Leo and Irving, each going their own way, with the rain continuing to fall. A persistent reminder of the unpredictability of life, but also the unexpected moments of connections and growth that comes with it.